Alright, I wasn't planning on making this video, but I've been super into reading manga lately after catching up completely with The Sleepy Princess and the Demon's Castle, and so I decided to give a manga called Komi-san Can't Communicate a try. And I've read about 50 chapters out of, I think there's a little bit over 200, or some over 200, I can't remember 100%, but I decided to give that a shot. And I'm going to say that I think I'm going to drop it, and I just kind of want to get my feelings out there because I thought this was a fairly popular series. I know a lot of people were reading it at some point, and so I just kind of want to talk about it. Now, there is a possibility that you could get spoiled up to chapter 50, so if you don't want that, it might be best if you just, like, leave. But if you really don't care or already caught up, then you know what? Doesn't even matter. So, I guess let's just get into this. So, my biggest issue with Komi-san Can't Communicate is that I feel like even 50 chapters in, even though the chapters are short, sometimes they're like 8 to 11 pages, it feels like they're just doing the same thing over again. And I get it's a comedy, and I get it's kind of supposed to be highly exaggerated, but it just, at some point, just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel good to read. Like, okay, so Komi-san's whole thing, besides her communication disorder where she, like, has a hard time talking to people, is that she's super fucking pretty and beautiful. Like, dead ass. Everyone at school worships her. They make her the, like, instead of making her student council president, they make her the class, or they, instead of making class president, they make her, like, the class goddess. She has, like, a literal yandere stalker. She'll go to, like, the library to look at a book, and everybody's head will fucking turn to look at her. Literally everybody. She'll, like, be eating ramen, and people outside are smashing their faces against the window to look at her because she's so beautiful. And it's so fucking excessive, and it happens, like, every time Komi-san does, like, literally anything, and it gets kind of aggravating after a while when you're, at least for me, when I was, like, spam reading the chapters. And then also, Komi-san's, like, whole thing is that she wants to make 100 friends, and Tadano-kun figures out her, like, whole thing, and he's like, I'm gonna be your first friend, and I'm gonna help you, and that's great. But so far she has, like, in the chapters I've read, I don't know, like, 11 friends, maybe, maybe less than that, actually. It's Tadano, Najimi, the one theater girl, the stalker girl, a bunch of the stalker girl's friends, and a Chuny, I think. And, like, that's fine. But the reason it aggravates me is because it feels like none of them actually give a fuck about her. I don't know if this comes up later in the manga or anything, but, like, it really only feels like Najimi-san and, like, Tadano are the only ones who kind of sort of care about her. Like, Tadano is really trying to help her out here. He's really trying to get other people to understand her. Najimi's also doing their best. It's kind of ambiguous whether Najimi is a boy or a girl. So even though I think they've said it was a boy, they usually just go by, like, there. So I'm not really sure with Najimi, kind of confusing, but Najimi's sort of just kind of friends and nice to everybody, so I think Najimi is really is trying, but Tadano's, like, the main friend, with Najimi being, like, right behind him. But then the other two people that show up the most, like, the theater girl and the stalker girl, they only just want to hang out with fucking Komi-san because she's pretty. Like, the theater girl's like, oh, you're my master, I'm the dog, woof woof, step on me, queen, and I'm like, okay. And the stalker girl literally was going to fucking kill somebody for her, and is, like, only hangs out with her to, like, drool, and she always invites all her fucking buddies with her, even though Komi-san isn't super comfortable with large crowds, and Komi-san now considers those randos to be her friends, even though they only come by to, like, ogle at her. They don't actually fucking give a shit about Komi-san. They just like the idea of Komi-san. And so it doesn't feel heartwarming to me when it's like, oh, Komi-san's got like 11 friends now, or like 8 friends. It feels like Komi-san just is pretty, so people simp for her. That's what it feels like. And sometimes when there is wholesome content where Komi-san's getting understood by people, whether it's Tadano or whatever, it's far and few in between, you know, few and far in between, I should say. And it's like, it just doesn't feel like, I don't know, it just really doesn't feel that great to read. And I'm 50 chapters in, and I think one of the latest chapters really felt kind of like, it was once again one of those, like, Komi-san so pretty and doing things by herself, ooh woo, and I was just, like, so done with it. Yeah, I like the chapter where the Chuny, I think it was, like, in the 50s, like, where the Chuny and Najimi, like, play together, because they played as kids, they play, like, Smash Bros. And stuff, like, that's cool. But, you know, on a chapter-to-chapter basis, a lot of them can just be like, Komi-san's being awkward and is beautiful, and after a while, I kind of got sick of the joke because they don't do enough with it, if you guys read it and it does, and it, you know that it does change later, or maybe the formula changes up, or it just gets better in general, you can let me know, and like maybe I'll continue reading it. But it's also sort of a pain in the ass because the place I was reading it stopped having anything past chapter like 40 something, I think, and I had to go to like a completely new website to read up to 50, like even where I'm at from somewhere in the 40s. And then I think it also is missing like a bunch of chapters up until like the 100, like 100 and something, which is a super pain in the ass and it's really not worth it to me. So I was like, I'm not even that invested in Komi-san Can't Communicate, so I guess I'll just say fuck it. But I was just, yeah, not that I think it's a bad manga necessarily, or that I think it's badly drawn, because I don't. I just feel like it's getting very, very, very repetitive, even if the chapters are short, and sort of just I don't really want to read anymore. Like, okay, so like, I'm kind of curious, and I do want to read, but I'm also unwilling to reread what is essentially the same thing happening every chapter. At least for this particular manga, it doesn't make me want to do that. So yeah, once again, if you know that something changes or it gets better or whatever, let me know. Maybe I'll pick it up again. But until then, I think I'm gonna drop Komi-san at chapter 50. Anyway, let me know what you think, or if you have any suggestions or whatever in the comments below, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.